everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Career Success Masterclass. Our mentor today is none other than Seslyn Maylor, who is an optometrist and is going to tell us a lot more about what being an optometrist is, how she got there, and how you can get there too if you are interested in this career option. Seslyn, welcome. This has been long overdue. Thank you for being here.
Yes, this has been a long time coming. So,
Coming.
It's so good to finally be at this point.
Yes, finally, we are
here.
We've made it. I'm so excited.
Me too.
Awesome. Yes. So, Seslyn, to get us warmed up, I'm going to throw you a few warm-up questions.
Okay.
Nothing hard, nothing that you can't answer. Okay, I promise. You ready?
Yes.
What's that?
I was just praying Lord in heaven to make sure, the Lord sends the right questions.
You're going to get the right questions. Yeah. You're going to be good. So, question number 1. What is the worst job you've ever had without mentioning any company names?
Okay. I think when I think back to the timeline of the jobs that I've had, I've really been fortunate because it's either I'm fortunate, I just make the best out of everything. But yeah. I think I've really had some good opportunities to work in different places and learn from those experiences. So I've not really had any really, really rotten experiences, to be honest.
Okay, great.
But if I were to say the one that was, the least liked, that probably I could say is one that I had just coming out of secondary school. I worked through, you could say that I was a working child.
Child labor?
That doesn't really sound very good, but it's always good that young people have experiences with money and earning money from early. So during the summers, I would work for my uncles, my aunts. We have a big family. And I had a job where I was in an office. And most of the day, I would be alone because I was the only one sort of managing and manning the office. And it was a little bit boring because I like interaction.
Yes.
So I was not really able to engage with people. It was just me alone for the most part. But the best part of the job is that I would be able to sit down and read as many books as I would like to.
Awesome. Silver lining.
Yeah. So in anything, it was I think I had it pretty okay, whichever way I looked.
Awesome. Next question. Tell us one thing that not many people know about you.
All our secrets are coming out today.
Yeah. Today is the day.
I know, right? So something that not many persons know about me, one of those many things would be that I love drumming and I'm a drummer. Yeah, I do play the drum set.
Okay.
But let's put a little caveat in there and say that I do not play it currently because not many neighbors appreciate a good drum roll and
Wow. Seslyn, I've known you for about 19 years. When? How?
Right. Oh, that. So I started when I got out of school, secondary school. Actually, I was just ending off in my last few years at secondary school. I wanted to learn how to play a musical instrument. And your brother-in-law had a music school.
Yes, he did.
So I signed up to play a musical instrument, and when asked what I wanted to play, I said I wanted to play the drum set. I didn't have a drum set to practice at home, but I went to the school faithfully and practiced until, I transitioned and went on to school otherwise and stuff.
Wonderful. Good. Great. Next question. We're still warming up here. What do you think is one of the most important skills that everyone should have?
Okay. I would say it's a toss-up for me between two skills. I like the idea of being able to have to communicate effectively as a skill that everybody needs to have. That can save us lots of misinterpretation, confusion, conflict, that kind of thing. Communication, being able to do that well, so important. But I think in the forefront of my mind, what would, kind of like edge that out a little bit more is conflict resolution skills. In our world today, I think we see all of the heightened emotions that people are having because of all of this new level of stress that they have to deal with.
Yes, Seslyn.
And I think it's crazy that you have so much coming at you so quickly that you're not able to cope if you do not have good conflict resolution skills. And I'll give you an example of this. I was at the supermarket, and if you know now what the supermarket is like in COVID, it's nothing like what it was before COVID.
Yeah.
So with COVID now, everybody has to remember to social distance. You go into the stores and you need to be able to watch the line and make sure you're not standing too close to anyone. I was in the supermarket just minding my own business, like I like to say, and I got online to get to the cashier, and I noticed that like there's a basket just behind my feet. So if you're standing 6 feet apart, then there's no way a small basket is going to be right up next to my feet, right? So I turned around and I saw there was a gentleman right behind his basket. So I kind of...
Definitely not 6 feet away then.
Definitely not 6 feet away. So I was like trying to get his attention to let him know, hey, can you just leave a little bit of
back it up a bit?
Us? Yeah, like I'm not even going to say back it up a little bit because that's like sounding like a fight anthem kind of going. So I was just like, do you mind just putting a little more space between us? He was not too happy with me saying that. I can tell you that. And the words that he called me after, for the next, say, 20 minutes we were on the line, was something that other persons would have really, it would have probably started a fight.
Yeah.
But I understood that, you know what, right now, tensions are heightened. Everyone is going through something, and sometimes we don't understand what people are going through before we decide that we're going to respond to them and maybe even retaliate against whatever we feel offended that they have done. So I think it's like so important to just try to de-escalate a situation as quickly as possible. I made sure I did not respond because I realized that responding to him would not have made a change. He just felt offended that I thought he would have given me COVID, or that I would have given him COVID, or whichever way it went. But I just think that it's so important that we, especially now, we take a time out and we just step back a little from the problem and try to think of it from the other person's perspective and how we can really de-escalate it and try to resolve it peacefully as best as we can. That would save us a whole lot of trouble and
stress and unnecessary tensions.
So much.
For sure.
Yeah.
So that brings us, we're now warm, really hot, ready to go.
On fire.
And I think this is a perfect segue into the next question, which is, what makes you want to wake up in the morning when you think about work? What gets you going? What about your job makes you happy to get up in the morning and go off to work?
I would say that question, like, there are so many things that so a lot of my answers will be there are so many things.
Yeah, because there are so many things.
I am so faceted in different things. Anywho, for that, all of it, no matter which way I cut it, it all boils down to people.
Okay.
Like any day when I can get up and I can do more interaction with persons versus doing paperwork, then that just gives me the drive to go on. I would have almost, my energy tank would be almost on zero, but I see somebody and I can engage in a good conversation with them. It's like, hello, goodbye, tiredness. Hello, fun.
Good morning.
Exactly. So
morning all over again.
Yeah. So like the best part of anything that I do is my patients, and being able to just see who they are, see when it makes such a difference for them, that how my actions in being able to correct the problems that they have can make such a difference in how they're seeing. So for me, that is just like one of the most beautiful moments, that whoa moment when they put on their glasses and they're seeing so much differently. They're seeing so clear now. They're like,
life just changed.
Yes, it's like the best. But it's like, all of the interaction with them from there and from before when we're doing the eye exam. And a lot of times I get to be sort of like really familiar and cozy with my patients, because, a patient is not just their problem. A patient really is the whole person that I see sitting in front of me. What are your dreams? What are your aspirations? Is there a way that maybe I can give you some information that might be helpful to you in carrying on to those dreams? So, or connect you with somebody who I see that you would be perfect to do some kind of collaboration with. So my thing in waking up on the morning is that are there going to be people that I can talk to? Yes, I'm ready to go. Yes. Okay, I don't like the work so much. I just like the people.
And that's a good thing, because as someone who's seeing people who are coming for help, it's great that you love being able to
love people. So the work is secondary. The fact that what I do is making a difference for people, that is priceless.
Yeah. Now, Seslyn, you have a really cool job as far as I'm concerned. The eyes are very sensitive, and like they say, the eyes are the windows to the soul. Yeah. So eye care is very, very important, and that what it is you do is very necessary. And so you literally change lives. You literally help people to see clearer in the literal sense.
Yes, pun and literally. Pun
intended. Pun very much intended. Yes. And so I want you to tell us just a little bit about what it is you do. But just before that question, I know that there are three areas that are related to eye care. They kind of, sometimes people misunderstand, the similarities and differences between them. So you have optometrists, you have ophthalmologists, and you have opticians. So can you just break it down for us really quickly so everybody knows what's what?
Yes. Okay, sure. So let's start off with the one that most persons would probably call doctor. That would be the ophthalmologist. So your ophthalmologist is your medical doctor who has done 4 years of school, or how many years of medical school, and further to that has gone on to further do a specialty in eyes. So what they would cater to in patients is addressing the eye diseases. So whether it be cataract, whether it be glaucoma, whether it be diabetic retinopathy, whether it be conjunctivitis, the usual red eye that you might come in, the allergies, the eye allergies that there are, the ophthalmologist is the one that addresses any eye diseases that there are. And the ophthalmologist would focus on prescribing drops. They would focus on conducting surgeries, carrying out surgeries. A lot of those that you're familiar with would be the cataract surgery, laser surgeries, LASIK, these kinds of things. All of that would be done by an ophthalmologist. They focus on diseases. The next one that you also call doctor is the optometrist. But the title doctor does not fall on all optometrists, in all different jurisdictions. And that is because the optometrist did not go to medical school, right? However, so they're not a medical doctor.
Right.
However, an optometrist, depending on the zone that you are studying in, you can have different levels of the degree that you get from studying optometry. So you can get your bachelor's in optometry. You could also get your master's in optometry and also and various subspecialties. But you could also get your doctor of optometry degree. And for the doctor of optometry degree, you do the basics, and then you do the OD, what we call it an OD, a doctor of optometry. But that is not in all regions. You do not, for example, in the Caribbean region, most optometrists who study within the region, whether it be Trinidad, whether it be Cuba, well, not Cuba, Trinidad, Guyana, I can't remember everywhere there's an optometry school, but in those two countries, you would get your Bachelor of Science in Optometry, and you would return to whichever of the islands, and you would be able to practice optometry. You would not have the title doctor because you would not have gotten to that level, but at the same time, you work just as a doctor. So lots of times that's why the patients would end up calling you doctor. And nobody's going to fault a patient for that. It's quite fine. The title, nobody fussing about that. Outside of the region, in Canada, in the US, in Nigeria, I think, Ghana, some of the African countries, you would have a different program that you do that is a longer program by about 2 years, because your bachelor's, you do it in 4 years. But the OD program, you can do it within a 6-year period, straight, like just shooting straight. And you do start off with, I think, a pre-optometry program and then complete the Doctor of Optometry program fully before you're allowed and licensed to be able to work in those jurisdictions.
Okay.
As an optometrist, what you do, your focus area would be prescribing glasses. So my job as an optometrist would be to prescribe glasses or contact lenses to correct patients' vision. So lots of times when you're not able to see very clearly, a pair of spectacles, glasses, like we would sometimes refer to them, would be what we use to be able to correct, the blurred vision. And for most persons, if it's not because of an eye disease that causes it, then prescription glasses are what we as optometrists focus on prescribing to be able to help that patient see nice, sharp, clear vision. Most patients, when they come to the clinic, they're coming because they have blurry vision.
Okay.
A lot of times there are so many other things that are happening in the eye, including eye diseases, but they're not coming for that because they don't know it often. They're coming to be able to get a pair of glasses so that they can see clearly. So they come to the optometrist. Now, as the optometrist, we stand as sort of like the gatekeepers to be able to quickly identify persons who have disease problems, especially problems that can lead to blindness. Because if we can catch it early, then it would make such a difference. The statistics show that about 80% of the persons who go blind are going blind from diseases that are preventable.
Wow, that is what a statistic, 80%.
80%. So the job of an optometrist is so key in being able to identify, detect those diseases really early, because people are coming to renew their glasses all the time, and be able to refer to the ophthalmologist who would then be able to treat the eye diseases so they don't go blind.
Okay, great. So on a daily basis, what does a typical day in the life of your work look like?
For a typical day, what we as optometrists do is we work with an eye chart, whether it's a digital one on a computer or the paper one that you would see on the wall of some establishments. We work with an eye chart, so persons are stationed at the correct distance from the eye chart, and we ask them, eye by eye, one at a time. We ask them to look at the chart, and we're able to identify how clearly this person can see, if they meet the standard of what we usually refer to 20/20 vision.
Yeah.
So if you have 20/20 vision, that's absolutely wonderful. That's what we want. And if we see that you have 20/20 vision, we will not provide spectacles to correct your vision because it's already correct. Yeah. But if we see that there is a problem and you do not see up to the standard 20/20 line that you're supposed to be able to see, then what we want to be able to do is prescribe lenses that have what we call power in them, so that they can be able to add whatever you're missing, add the strength that you need to be able to see what you need to see. So this is the job day by day. You would see us going, which lens makes this letter clearer for you, lens 1 or lens 2, and we switch between the two so you can see, does this one look better? No, does this one look better? No, put it back again. That's the kind of conversation that you would sometimes hear if you're listening in as a fly on the wall in the optometrist's office. In addition to that, we also look to the back of the eye with our devices, our magnifiers and so on. A lot of time that brings us in very close proximity to the patient so that we can be able to see the features in the eye, the structures in the eye, if everything is normal and healthy, and we can give you a clean bill of health and you can go along your way. That's what we would like to do. Unfortunately, sometimes by the time a patient comes to us, the problem has gotten so far already that they now need the attention of the ophthalmologist, and hopefully it's one of those that can be reversed, or it has not gotten to an advanced stage where it's causing significant loss of vision or blindness.
All right, great.
Additionally, there are little bits in there where it's an important part of our job to educate patients, so that patients do not leave having some of the bad practices that may have contributed to their problem in the first place, if it can be helped. Because again, so much of it is preventable.
Okay, so you're interacting with the patient in your office, you're doing all of these eye tests, you're educating them in the process, much like a doctor's consultation?
Pretty much like a doctor's consultation, yeah.
Okay, great, wonderful. I hope that has brought some clarity to some of you watching who are wondering, well, what is an optometrist and what do they do?
Yes. The optician is the one when the optometrist has discovered, okay, you have what we call a refractive error, which is, when the eye is not able to form a nice, clear, sharp image because it's not getting to the retina at the correct spot.
Yeah.
Then that patient needs glasses, prescription glasses. So we write out the prescription as optometrists, and you take that so that the optician can create those glasses for you. So the optician cuts the lens and then fits the lenses into each of whichever frame you have chosen.
Okay, nice.
They take the measurements that they need, and so forth and so forth. But they're the ones who do the creation of your spectacle glasses for you.
Nice. Eye health is such a fascinating field that I'm so happy we're talking about it today, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it. It's wow, you've really shined the lights on this for me today. At least I can say for me, and I'm sure there are many other people who are finding this very, very informative. And so, Seslyn, for many people, the path to a happy career, to their happy career, sometimes the lucky ones, it's quite linear, lucky and maybe not so lucky, But for some people, the path is quite linear, So you know that you want to become an optometrist, and so you probably have people advising you, you should study this and you should do that, and then you should go to university and do this program, it'll last this long, and next you do this. You know, you have that kind of guidance, and your education and experience seems to be quite smooth. Now, for you, I don't know if it was that linear. Possibly not, because I know that we worked together at a radio station for a bit. We worked together, and you've made the jump. You've been able to make the jump or the transition from working as a radio announcer and a marketing expert in the radio industry to becoming a health practitioner and optometrist. So can you tell us a little bit more about your career journey? What has it been like? Take us along that journey so we can understand how you got to the point that you're at now.
Okay. So let's just establish that I did not know that I wanted to be an optometrist when I was 8 years old.
Okay.
So let's establish that from the get-go.
Join the club.
All right. So if you're at the point where you've not figured out what it is that you want to do as yet, look, you're in good company. We didn't have it all figured out, okay?
No.
But I did know one thing. When I was younger, I remember my father and mother would when they speak of me to others, they would say that I always said I wanted to be a doctor. I remember it a little differently. I thought I wanted to be an air hostess and fly all over the world, but you know, that's
that's another dream
and another story. But I knew that I wanted to be in the health field. I just did not know exactly where. I did want to be a doctor, but like I mentioned earlier, I wanted to be able to enjoy my weekends with my family, because there's always some family coming in, there's always some get together, there are always friends. And I was also very active. I'm also very active in church. So I know, like, when the church is having stuff, like they're going to the beach on the weekend, or they're going hiking or camping for the Easter weekend, I want to be able to go to camp. So I knew that working a shift as a doctor and being on call at odd hours, that kind of would not work with my dream of being able to just have my weekends to use for family and friends and that kind of thing. So I knew that it could not be, just your general physician. I knew that if anything, and I went into medicine, then I would want to have a specialty field that it would be more of a 9-to-5 kind of thing for me. So I started off trying to save to get into medical school, and I explored a couple things. One of the first things I thought of was doing radiography, which is an excellent field. I looked through and saw what career options were not very prominent in St. Lucia. They didn't have a lot of persons doing these things, and I saw that a radiographer was one of those things that was needed, but not a lot of persons were doing it. So for most of the time, I was thinking and exploring schools in the UK and in the US and Canada for studying radiography. But that kind of didn't happen that way. I ended up, first I ended up teaching. I don't know if you know that about me. So I taught at primary school for a couple years, and then after that, I kind of naturally transitioned into radio because somebody figured out that I'm good at doing a little bit of marketing. So I was at the point where I was trying to figure out what to select that would fit the kind of life that I would want for myself. And I checked on radiography to be a radiographer, and I realized that, okay, there were not lots of radiographers in St. Lucia, so that would be a good field to go into. But I think, like, in all of this, the opportunity came up for me to get into radio.
Not radiography, but radio.
Exactly. And I had done a little bit of marketing, just really, really on a small scale. And one of my mentors saw in me that, hey, you're actually kind of good at this. You're pretty good at this. Here's what. And that's how, the conversation went. Before I knew it, I was involved in radio and stayed in radio for I have been in radio now for almost 15 or so years. And why I have been is because I'm still there. So while it is that I went to school and I studied optometry, shortly after, a few years into radio, I wanted to continue pursuing my dream. I never let go of it. I discovered that there was a scholarship for studying optometry in Guyana.
Okay.
I applied and got through. So that's when I checked to see what optometry would entail, I realized that I could marry the thing that I had grown to love, which was advertising and marketing, and just every day just interacting with people, and just, for me it was the enjoyment. It was the people. I'm just a people person and just love interacting with people. So that, and being on air, because I did on air radio announcing, and I love doing that too. So, just engaging with people and being able to make a difference in, their life health-wise.
Yeah.
That's like, hey.
Great. Nice. So let's talk then about the requirements, the educational requirements to get into optometry. You're living proof that it's never too late. You can get in and you can change your career at any time.
Exactly.
You've done 15 years of radio. You've studied. How many years of radio had you done before you went to do your studies in optometry?
I would say about 8 years or so.
Yeah. Wow. You see? And so this whole timelining everything in our life. Exactly. Yeah, we need to stop that, people.
Exactly. And that is such a good point that you're making, because I think parents expect their kids to have it all figured out by the time they go into secondary school and choose their subjects for CXC. And that's so much pressure to put on these young people who oftentimes there are not lots of career guidance that happens to be able to give them enough so that they can have it all figured out. I went to school first to check out marketing and study marketing. And I remember that my first day at school, I was studying in the US. I met a 91-year-old lady who was doing her first degree.
Wow.
And I was like so amazed. My classmate is 91 years old. She is energized and ready. And there were lots of persons, along the scale of, in terms of age, who were coming as adults and doing their degrees for the first time. So it's
never too late to do what you love. It's never too late. Yeah.
So, and change at any age.
Yeah, I like that. You can change at any age. I love that tagline. Yeah. Love it. Yeah. So you did not finish that degree in marketing then?
I did not finish it, but I said to myself, like, the opportunity came up for optometry, so I'm going to do that, but I'll come back to it. I've not gone back to it yet because life has gotten so busy. I went on to do my master's in public health for eye care, which is another field and side of optometry and eye care that is a more population-based area. You're serving more of the population as opposed to on an individual level in that field. And I felt it would have best been able to help me prepare for doing what I really loved, which is engaging with people and being able to do behavior modification and really evoke some of the changes that would help prevent the blindness that we're seeing escalating in our communities and our countries today. So I went to
educate people and catch it at the roots, or even before it happens. Yeah,
exactly.
Is that it?
Exactly. So, for example, like in St. Lucia, we have such a high percentage of persons affected by diabetes. There's a great prevalence of diabetes in St. Lucia. And while it is that people are aware of it, they don't really do the kinds of things oftentimes that would help them identify it early on to be able to intervene and stop the problem, the disease in the process before it escalates to a stage where it begins causing damage to the eyes, to the kidneys, to the chopping off of the foot. A lot of times it's when we're at the end stages of the disease, that's when we find out. And it's so unfortunate because a lot of stuff can be prevented. So I really, really felt it was so important to study this side of things, where I can be able to help educate persons on things that would actually make a difference for them.
Nice. And so the prevention with the education, then you can bring about the prevention. But if someone has diabetes, would you be able to detect it, say, early through an eye examination?
Well, that's really a good question. And, you asked the question earlier as to tell you something some people don't know. This is one of those things that a lot of people do not know. And that is that when you look into the eyes are literally the window to the soul, because a lot of times when we dilate the pupils of the eye, because your pupils are really, really tiny like this. Well, maybe a lot tinier than this. Let's see. This is the size almost of the eye. So
of a quarter, yeah.
Yeah, let's not take things literally, folks. But if your pupils are really small, this size, in comparison, when they're dilated, they get about this size in comparison. What that allows us to do as the eye health professionals is to be able to take our magnifiers and look into the eyes, into the back of the eyes, where this is the only point in the body that you can actually see the blood vessels lined up.
That's
so much
cool.
so that you can actually see the pulsation. When the heart beats.
That is so cool, Seslyn. Yeah. So the eyes are literally the windows to our existence.
Yes. So it allows us to be able to then see a lot of the diseases that affect the entire body. It will show up in the eye. And diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, these diseases, if they're affecting the body and they're causing severe damage enough, that damage will have an effect not only on one part, but on all parts, including the eye. So that way we're able to now look into the eyes and be able to actually see the damage that might be developing. And hopefully we catch it when it's early, so that we can be able to give you guidance and be able to have an intervention that would stop it from progressing towards loss of vision and blindness.